Hello! Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our class, Principles of Food Preparation. I am Ma'am Jeline, your instructor. So our lesson for today is all about food preparation terms and cooking methods. So it is important for us to learn the different terms used in food preparation for us to understand the recipe easier. Okay, so let's start with the different mixing terms. The first one is the stir. So to mix a substance in a circular pattern using a spoon, spatula, or other such utensil. So this is the simplest method because it involves mixing all the ingredients together with the use of a spoon, or spatula using a circular motion. Next one is blend. To stir ingredients until they are thoroughly combined. So this is the process of combining two or more ingredients to become smooth and uniform. For instance, when you blend your dry ingredients and your liquid ingredients. So the result is a cake butter mixture. Next, we have beat. So this is the rigorous mixing of ingredients using a wooden spoon, electric mixer, or electric whisk, food mixer, or food processor. So the purpose is to thoroughly combine the ingredients and to incorporate air to make it light and fluffy. Next one is cream. So this is the process of blending the butter and sugar together for the purpose of smoothing the mixture before adding other ingredients. So as you can see in the graphics, we have creaming the butter and sugar. Next is the fold. So this is the technique used to gently combine a light or airy ingredient such as the beaten egg whites with a heavier one such as the whipped cream or cake mix. So as you can see in the graphics, what we call the folding. Next we have the cut in. So this refers to a mixing of fats such as butter or lard. When I say lard, this is a solid fat with the dry ingredients such as flour until it forms particles of fat that are covered with the dry ingredient. So a pastry blending tool is used for the process. Okay, so we have here, as you can see in the picture, that is what we call the pastry blender. Okay. And then we also have the whip. So this is the process of beating an ingredient vigorously to incorporate air, which makes the ingredient frothy. So in the kitchen, you whip an ingredient to add or incorporate air into it to provide the body or the texture. So basically, we use a hand mixer or a large version of whisk. Next, we have the different cutting terms. The first one, we have grate. This is the process of transforming solid or firm food into small pieces by rubbing the item against a grating instrument. So we can use grater box to grate the food items. We also have pare. This is to remove the stem and outer covering of a vegetable or fruit with the use of paring knife or peeler. So this is to cut off the thin layer of skin on a food such as the tomatoes, the potatoes, or apples. We also have puree. So this is to blend, grind, or mash food until it is a thick, smooth, lump-free consistency. So this is a thick liquid suspension, usually made from cooked food, which is finely ground. Pureeing can be done in a blender. You can also use food processor or food mill. So when you use a food mill, of course, you can accomplish this by pressing the food through a sieve. Next, we have shred. So this is to cut or break a food item into a thin pieces. So to finely shred, it means to make a long, thin strips. So this process can also be done using a hand grater or a grater box. But if you want to shred a chicken, so you can also use your hand, just like the graphics. We also have dicing, which refers to cutting things into smaller cubes. So this is also similar to chopping, except that dicing is always finely chopped. And also, it is consistent in size. Okay, so we have here the different cuttings, such as slice, the julienne cut, the brunoise. We also have the dice. What else? We have mince, chop, cube, and chiffonade. Next, we have the different cuts. So let's start with the large dice. So this is a culinary knife cut which measures 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch. So this cut is most often used for vegetables like potatoes and sometimes in fruits such as watermelon. Next, we have the bâtonnet. So basically, it creates a rectangular stick that measures 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 2 1/2 to 3 inches. So this is also the starting point for another cut, which is the medium dice. We have the medium dice, which measures 1/2 by 1/2 by 1/2 inch. And this is a smaller version of the large dice. So this is generally a good choice when the recipes don't specify the size of the dice. If the recipe says diced tomatoes, you can use the medium dice. And then we have alumet, which measures 1/4 by 1/4 inch by 2 1/2 to 3 inches. So this is sometimes referred to as the matchstick cut. And it is also the starting point for the small dice. So we have the small dice, which is the littlest of the dice cuts. So it measures 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4 inch. So, and it is also produced by slicing the alumet into 1/4 inch sections. Although we also have the brunoise. So later on, we will discuss this, which is the smallest of all dice cuts. So we have here the julienne cut, which measures 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch by 2 1/2 inches. So if you cut once more lengthwise the alumet, then you will produce a julienne cut. And this cut is often used for celery, for carrots, as well as potatoes if you use this as a garnish. And then we also have the brunoise, which is usually used for garnishes. It measures 1/8 by 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch, which makes it the smallest of the dice cuts. And then we also have the mince. So this is smaller than a fine brunoise. The mince is less precise since it is supposed to be finely cut. So we most often use mince in garlic or other aromatics when we want the flavor to be distributed throughout the dish. And then we also have the chiffonade. So this cut is mainly used for vegetable leaves and fresh herbs. In particular, we have the basil. So the leaves are stalked and then rolled and then sliced perpendicularly, creating a thin strips. Next, we have the cooking methods. We have three types of cooking methods. We have dry heat, the moist heat, and the combination. Dry heat cooking methods involve the circulation of hot air or direct contact to fat to transfer heat. So it works without the presence of any liquid. And it also gives food a brown crust on the surface. Next, the moist heat. So moist heat cooking methods relies on the presence of liquid or steam to cook foods. That liquid can be water, it could be broth, wine, or juice. Moist heat cooking methods preserve and even add moisture to the food. Unlike dry heat cooking method, moist heat cooking will not produce a brown crust, but they are excellent at softening the tough fibers in food. And then lastly, we have the combination, which involves both the dry and moist heat cooking. First, let's have the dry heat cooking method. We have here the grilling. So it uses heat from underneath to cook the food. So barbecuing is a common grilling technique. We use charcoal, or you can also use griddle or grill pan on your stove top to grill a certain food. And flipping is also required to cook foods on both sides. And then we also have broiling, which is very similar to grilling, but it uses oven heat from above instead of below. So you can place your food on the top rack of your oven and then set it to broil if you have the broil oven. Next, we have the baking. So cook food by dry heat without direct exposure to a flame, typically in an oven or on a hot surface. So, and then we also have the roasting, which is performed inside an oven and uses indirect heat that cooks from all sides for even browning. Baking and roasting both use indirect heat to surround foods and cook from all sides. The term roasting is used when you want to cook meat or vegetables, while the baking is used when you want to make bread, when you want to make rolls, and also cakes. So technically, these cooking methods are the same, but baking is usually performed at a lower temperatures than roasting. We also have sautéing. So it uses small amount of oil or fat to coat food for even browning. So to saute means to cook small pieces of food over high heat or medium heat. And it comes from the word sauté. It is a French word which means to jump. Next one, we have stir frying. So this is similar to sautéing except that it uses a wok. Wok means ito yung pinagluluto natin, yung malakihan. Okay? So just like doon sa nakikita nyo sa picture. So stir-fried foods require less cooking time than sauteed foods. It involves frying quickly at a very high temperature, which requires the food to be continuously stirred to prevent na ma-burn yung ating mga niluluto. And then we also have the pan frying. So this is also similar to sauteing except that more fat is used and the cooking time is longer. While the deep frying, so this is the process of quickly browning the surface of food by exposing it to extremely high heat. So it is not considered as a moist heat method because the fat is used instead of water. And then we also have the searing. So this is a way to brown your meat or fish quickly. So this is the process of quickly browning the surface of food by exposing it to extremely high heat. Food is most often seared in a small amount of oil and then you cook it to the appropriate doneness using another cooking method. Pwedeng roasting, grilling, or you can also use braising. Now let's move on to the moist heat cooking method. So the first one, we have the poaching. So yan yung graphics na nandyan sa baba. So this is usually done in a small amount of water, around 160 degrees Fahrenheit to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So the water is steaming with small bubbles forming on top and against the sides of the pan. So poaching is suitable for delicate food such as yung eggs natin. And then we also have fish, the poultry, and fruit. Okay. While the simmering, it involves bringing a liquid to just below boiling point while being heated to cook food. The temperature is around 185 degrees to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. So, parang ganyan sa nasa picture sa taas. So, that is simmering. So, mas mataas yung temperature ni simmering kesa kay poaching. And after simmering, we have the boiling. So, when we boil water, the temperature is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Or when the liquid that you are using has a rapid and aggressive bubbles. While the parboiling, this is a method of partially cooking ingredients like potatoes, carrots, or rice in boiling water until they are partially cooked. So, the difference between parboiling and blanching is that when you blanch, you have to submerge it in cold water. Pero si parboiling, no need to submerge. Okay? So we have here the blanching. So this is the process by which food is placed in a rapidly boiling water for a very short time. And then placed it in an ice bath to stop the cooking process. So katulad ng nandyan sa graphics. So blanching is used to partially cook or to retain and improve the color of the food. And then we also have steaming. So steaming involves the transfer of heat through vaporized water or other liquids to heat the food, which results in cooking it. And then last method, we have the combination method. So it involves the two or the both dry and moist heat cooking method. So we have here the braising. Braising involves simmering large cuts of meat in a small amount of liquid in a covered dish. Liquids used for braising are often wine, stock, or the meat's own juices. Okay. While the stowing, we have, this is similar to simmering in that the liquid is heated until it forms gentle yet quickly moving bubbles. So the difference between stowing and simmering is that stowing generally involves a much smaller amount of liquid. Okay, next we have the pot roasting. So this term is used to describe a beef dish made by slow cooking a usually tough cut of beef in moist heat. So this is one of the combination cooking methods which involves dry and moist heat cooking. First, you have to brown the meat and then slowly cooked in a liquid. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more updates.